Rotating formats like standard and even extended were once one of the most popular ways for us to engage with Magic the Gathering, but in recent years, those formats have all but disappeared from paper play. Let's talk about why those formats have gone by the wayside and why there's no chance that they're coming back. Rotating formats in paper Magic the Gathering, such as Standard, have completely died. I don't want to hear about the one or two niche communities. For the vast majority of enthusiasts like you and me, these formats are no longer an option. So today, I think it's important to discuss what actually killed these formats. It is not what most people say or claim they think killed these formats. Let's talk about what actually did these formats in and why I believe it is impossible for formats like Standard to make a comeback to Magic the Gathering. And actually, at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you some of the things I actually liked most about those rotating formats. But for those who might not know, because it's been a little while, a rotating Magic the Gathering format is a format where the card legality changes with Magic cards being released. And not only, I mean, that's true for every format, but what happens is cards that were released longer ago, there's a set number of sets in a format, and as a new set is released, one of the old sets will be popped out of the pool of card legality, and it's very exciting generally, actually. It keeps the gameplay fresh, it keeps you experiencing Magic in a new way, and something I missed that I'm going to talk about at the end of this video, but let's spoil it right now, is it gave me a new way to experience all of the cool cards being released. Often in Standard sets, there's a lot of cool, neat tech that's released, but doesn't really have a home, so we don't get to play it. But these rotating formats have completely gone by the wayside, and the community generally falls into one of two pools, and as far as claiming what actually killed them. The first pool is the online movement pool that's saying online clients like MTGO and Magic Arena completely did in paper Standard, and their argument is that because these formats take more work to keep up with and you have to constantly build decks, being able to do so digitally, grab a net deck, log on and play is an exciting way to experience formats like these. And with them not being legacy, something you have to change your deck often, it's far more convenient. The other group of community members that claim they know what killed this format is all about the global shutdown of the early 2020s. You will find this population claiming that there was vast numbers of people playing these rotating formats up until the time of the global shutdown, and then they all went kaput. And I don't like to say anything's a conspiracy theory, but that one feels like I don't know if that was the reason, but I know in the vast brain of playing Magic the Gathering for 20 plus years now, in my opinion, both of those things may have contributed to the cause, but it was not the main culprit. The main culprit for killing these rotating and especially Standard Magic the Gathering was the internet age. It was community enthusiasts like you and me being able to have more hobbies. I want to take you to a time that I've taken you to before on this channel. Young Josh goes down to the game store and experiences Standard, and all of these things took time. I had to go to the game store. At the time, I didn't have a car. I was young. I was walking. I had to walk to the game store. I had to talk to community members about new Standard card releases. I had to read magazines or look up on very slow internet connections about cards and possibly new decks and different synergies, and have those conversations. And then when I wanted to implement one of those strategies that I had learned about, I had to do a lot of gathering of cardboard from various people, whether it be trading or buying from the LGS or opening packs to get the cards necessary to put the deck together to play it. All of these things were a lot of work. And due to the internet age, our ability to get this information very quickly, I can engage in Magic the Gathering at the snap of a finger, or by watching and clicking the like button on a YouTube video about Magic the Gathering. I can get this information much more quickly. I can feel engaged in the hobby, and then with all this extra time, I have the ability to have more hobbies. Magic enthusiasts like you and me find that we have far more hobbies than we used to. We're able to maybe explore other TCGs, play with old vintage cards on the side. We're also getting older. We have family members, we have, significant other spouses, or just more responsibilities with our life or with work or whatever it might be. The Magic community finds itself aging a bit. So with this time shrinkage or time expenditure, whether you look at, diving into more hobbies, we spend less time on Magic the Gathering, which makes it more important for us to be able to pick up our Magic cards and play them right away. And rotating formats don't always lend to that behavior. Things like Pioneer, things like Modern, and yes, things like Commander are a safe space for people with multiple hobbies and a more casual community. We're able to build this deck and experience this format the same way. We can go to our LGS when we do have the time, and we know we're going to be able to play our deck. The strategy might have changed, we might get stopped, but we will be able to legally participate in the event. We can play Commander with our friends, whatever it might be. But that is not the only thing that killed these formats. It's funny when you look at something, we mentioned Modern, we mentioned Commander, and we talk about the opportunity cost, and it can be pricey. Some of these decks go upwards of $1,000, $1,500, even $2,000 for competitive decks. But Standard is a different type of cost. Rotating Magic the Gathering puts a stress on the community wallet in a different way, because now there's a pressure to constantly buy the most updated set. And while Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro definitely like to hear that, we get to, hey, you're going to spend your money on our set as a community member, instead of buying a one-off deck that we can use forever, we almost have to pay a standard release set fee to buy upgraded cards, upgrade our deck, change our synergies, whatever it might be, to continue to engage with the format. And that bill theoretically never ends. So while on paper, the standard deck will almost always be cheaper than your other legacy formats, other things we're engaging with, the opportunity cost and the long-term spend that we have to invest in playing that format is much more. But with all these things being said, it feels like these communities could still live, right? We could still have a standard format here, a standard format there, a pod here, a pod there that would pop up. But why don't we? And in my opinion, we never will again. Rotating Magic the Gathering formats are not going to make a comeback, and there's two big reasons. The first one is something I lent, a conversation to earlier in this video. It's the fact that we have other things going on, and with so many hobbies and Magic the Gathering moving to a more casual focused community, most of us enthusiasts engage with our game in a casual way. We don't want to spend the time that it would take to constantly rebuild, constantly update our deck, and constantly keep up with what's coming out and what the new strategies are going to be, and what from my deck I'm actually going to be losing, I won't be able to play. That's something that I don't think we're willing to do. We like the idea of building a new deck, we like the idea of buying new cards and trying new strategies when we're free to do so at our own leisure. In a rotating format, instead of allowing us to experience that in our own way, puts a hard cutoff and says you must do it by this date. I find that'll turn off a lot of people. Once you start getting an exodus from the format, it's hard to keep it up. The second and most important aspect, or the biggest reason this can't come back, in my opinion though, is the fact that we do too much. We have too many ways to engage with Magic the Gathering, and Wizards of the Coast in their fireside chat recently stated we need to only buy the products that interest us. And because of this, we are going to view Magic in a much wider lens. We're going to see remastered sets, we're going to see Commander sets, and those are all going to pull our attention to some degree. And with a format like a rotating format like Standard that will require our attention more often than not, we will find we will either have to neglect that rotating format or neglect some of the other things that we've deemed fun. Some of these remastered sets, these Commander sets, the secret layer, oh my gosh, the secret layers, right? We will have to ignore that to lend some of this limited time we have to playing Standard, playing rotating format, and keeping up. Now, I will say I miss this. Not only do we get to experience these cards that are being released that Wizards of the Coast is probably working very hard on in a fun way. It forces us to play more of these sets that are current released. We can't just say, oh, maybe one or two cards make an impact on our given format, and then we move on. We really have to think and brew and experience and play the game in a new way, and I will always miss that. And plus, it does make the standard release sets feel kind of meh. I've had a big qualm on this channel about standard release sets being printed essentially for Commander. I don't like that, but there's really no way around it. Without a rotating format, those sets are going to be printed for things like Commander, and maybe with a little bit of focus on Pioneer in the future. But what I want to know from you guys is, are you going to try to re-engage with any rotating formats? Do you think there's a different reason why these rotating formats aren't as popular as they once were? And most importantly, is there anything you missed, guys? Thank you so much for watching today. According to the analytics, like 90% of you watching videos on this channel aren't subscribed, and that is the biggest thing you can do for me is subscribe to this channel. It helps me keep doing what I'm doing. If you want to go support further, you can visit me on Patreon, buy me a cup of coffee, check out all my sweet data, and then most importantly, I guess this is the most important thing, is that you share this video with a friend or group of friends, because I think conversations like this in our community are so much fun and super important. And like I said, sometimes to engage in Magic, all you gotta do is watch a video, guys. Until next time, you all know me. My name is Josh. Thanks for hanging out today, and we will see you around. Goodbye.